Hello, once again, we welcome you to another session of In the Box. I'm Coach Q, that's Paul Bell, and we're going to continue on with talking about being Christian and dating or being Christian in marriages. And Paul, we had Yolanda on recently, and we thank you for providing her or giving her an opportunity to be with us, I should say. And she stepped in and she did a good job in your absence, man. She did a good job in your absence, so thank you.
That. I knew
Um,
she would.
So I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked her because she gave us her female perspective. Now I want to hear from your male perspective as to how is it like being Christian, being single in today's society?
It's a doggy dog world, Pastor Quill.
Okay.
It's a doggy dog world because you deal with the flesh a lot, and dealing with the flesh, you wrestle, of course, with the spirit to do right, and wrestling with the flesh comes not just with sex, but with the mindset of what type of fruit am I going to produce in trying to date. And in this upside down world, we see either man or a woman um, dealing with the flesh. And I'm reminded this is what I understand too. And the Bible tells us two things: don't be unequally yoked, and then the other one is not to intermarry with those who are not of God. Because why? We get hooked up, and then we want to serve their master, whichever
Okay.
that is that they serve. And so you deal with that because you might find on a man's end, you might find this beautiful woman, man, but she don't know Christ. You find the other set where she's halfway in with Christ. So what do? And you don't find this out until you have a conversation. So yes, it's hard as a single Christian man to date. Because for me, I would say it's a prerequisite is to do you pray and study. Because if you don't have a foundation, you can't go into a relationship expecting them to do that if you don't start in friendship.
Okay.
Because they got this thing now. I want to be your friend first. Okay, that's fine. What does that look like? They've taken away friends with benefits and made it friends. It's the same deal. They just took away the with benefits, but they still want the same thing. And so you deal with that, and then they everybody wants the thing of a relationship, but without investing in it. If that makes sense. I'm your friend, but you want more than the friendship. You know, uh, uh, and it's just like when you're courting. They want you to do everything as a husband or a wife, but we don't have the paper with it. They say, "What's the deal with the paper?" Well, it's a covenant between me, you, and God.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an obligation. Me as a man, under the eyes of God, I have to do this as this. But when you're in your dating stage, there's no contract, there's no obligation. You can come and go as you please. I mean, you can in marriage, but then let's just get divorced. Who wants to get divorced, right?
So
So
let me ask you this real quick, if you don't mind. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but this when you brought up the friends with benefits, and now it's just called friends, which is
yeah,
okay. It is what it is. Uh, but knowing that you are a Christian, is it odd that Christian women are not looking to be Christian in lifestyle?
well, it's because you train them up a child the way that you go. If they're not seeing it, they're making their own. But it goes for men too. Let's be fair. We ain't women
Yeah, yeah,
bashing.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, no, no. You're right. You're right.
But you're saying on my end,
Yes.
it's weird because the women have always been this forefront of men. Remember back in the old days, they used to say they love a man that get dirty. They used to love a
Yeah.
man that get dirty. That's gone out the window now, brother. I've asked the women. I asked three different women. They said, "I don't want that." I heard a man say the other day on the radio that women say they want Christian men, but when they get them, there's no effect.
Hmm.
Some women say I'm too serious about how I am with God. I said I'm not going to compromise that.
Hmm.
We throw that word. He's been so good. Well, he's been good to me too. Well, I'm talking about me and how my relationship is
Yeah.
based on what he's done for me. Because think about this: if somebody's been good to you, you want to kind of show some type of respect for that. Like somebody open the door for you, say thank you. That means you appreciate that.
Yeah.
So if God's being good, what do we do to appreciate that? He didn't ask for a lot. I believe he asked for obedience. And
Yeah.
it's hard, and to get it, folks, we're going to fall at times, but be conscious about your fall. Sin is stop it now. Sin is be sorry before you have to be sorry. Meaning, I want to be sorry now before I go kind to God, say, "Oh God, forgive me," because you know better, you do better, right? Have I failed? Well, of course I have. Do I do better? Yes, I do. It's called spiritual maturity,
Okay.
and that's what I'm on. But
No, and I guess what I'm hearing you saying is that the human part is still evident, right?
yeah,
Even though we are males, even though you're a male, you still have your fleshly desires as well as the women.
yes,
So
sir.
we shouldn't put it past anyone, male or female, to have that natural inclination.
I would say this: focus on your intentions and your desires. Meaning, you remember that Vince and Crash Dummy commercial. You can learn a lot from a dummy.
Hmm.
If you listen to a person long enough, they'll tell themselves what their intentions are.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is listen with the right discerning ears, and that's what helps me discern who's gonna stay in my space. Now, I don't crucify nobody, and I don't judge nobody, but my
Mhm.
space has to be for God. And
So
if
has it
you
been rather difficult for you?
absolutely, because
Okay.
if I didn't have God, I could have had 1,000 women by now,
Mhm.
but I don't have the one that God has for me. If I went back full time into my flesh ministry, oh, that's easy. That's easy. It's no brainer what to do.
Mhm.
But when you have God eyes upon you, when you have that spirit of God reveling inside of you, and you know what you know, it's like, yeah, ain't had that one. Because you don't want to be distracted and taken off your square, so to speak.
Yeah.
And if you're on a mission for God, meaning uh, create a lifestyle that people will want to say, man, I like how you don't get frustrated. I like how you don't gossip. But how is that, Paul Bell? Because I'm trusting in the Lord. He sees me. And if I say I'm a Christian, I like to say I'm a student of the word. That means I'm still learning. And I'm
Mhm.
not going to pass every test. Am I going to turn in every assignment? Am I going to pray every night? Am I going to meditate on the daily? Am I going to fast? See, that's what a student does. He learns. He continues to learn. He continues to seek out wise counsel. Right? I was reading the Naaman. He almost missed his blessing by trying to be disobedient to the instructions that Elijah gave him. But his servants came in, his homeboys came in and said, "Look, man, you might want to go there. This guy, we know him. So we got to have wise counsel as well. We call on each other for different things. You know what I'm saying? And that stirs up a spirit of, okay, I got it. So being single, man, you got to have a circle of men or women to help you be held accountable for what you're getting ready to do. Like some religions, I like that they have chaperones. Some people say, I'm grown, I don't need no chaperone. But think about the ideal of what happens when two people, a man and a woman, are alone for a long amount of time.
Mhm.
So I guess the idea is just to see if you can handle enjoyment around others and then go your separate ways and miss each other like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you brought up some good points and bring up the biblical or I call them the Christian principles to for growth. And you brought
For
them all
sure.
up in your conversation as far as what you need to do, as far as what you do personally to make sure that you are preparing yourself to be ready and available and for God and not faltering in any way, shape, or fashion regarding what comes around you. And that you brought up being in the Word, studying the Word, right?
Yes.
You said
Yes.
you called it being a student. You brought up
Yes.
praying and fasting and then meditating. And then the last part, which is the most common piece that people don't want to have, is that fellowship piece or that accountability partner. That
Yeah.
is huge and that's crucial. Like you said, I do like the thought of having chaperones and maybe not particularly in the aspect of what we think of a chaperone would be is like someone there
Right.
watching you in every step of your way, and
Right.
everything that you're doing. But if you are going out a date, make it a double date to
Yeah.
where you guys aren't tempted to be alone. And
The
then
lust
the
of
guys
eye.
go their way at the end of the night, the ladies go their way at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Do something like
Yeah.
that. That way it keeps the relationship pure. It keeps the conversation pure. Now, don't get me wrong. When you're even with couples, you can have some kind of sensual conversation, but not lead to sensuality. All right.
Right.
There's certain words or movies that we can go to, or shows, or music, or whatever. All that can happen. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you're going to be 100% uh,
Absolutely.
free
Absolutely.
from everything, but that's just something that we need to be aware of as we do something like that. So I guess that's good to hear, and I guess that's something I can even tell my kids. Hey, listen, if you all go out on dates, go with couples. Try not to
Hmm.
do anything alone with that female for my boys or with that male for my daughter, because of the fact that you don't know what you may end up being into,
You,
and it's
you
that
know.
accountability piece. Yeah, go ahead.
You know where it all stems from. You know how it stems from parenting in a home with our children, right?
Hmm.
With the church, it starts with you and I as leaders.
Hmm.
We have to, again, if they're students, what are we teaching them about this? Like you said, you told me a little while ago that you're preparing the congregation, the word of faith, for the next level, right?
Hmm.
So in these series that you, however you're doing it, at some point, parenting, like what our conversation is, parenting and sexuality has to be a topic that the church, it has to be more than just 1 week, because like
Yeah,
me, it's going to take more than one time for me to hear it. I have to hear it in an illustrational way, where, oh man, he's serious about this, and be able to point out biblical, even sometimes have other speakers come in and speak on this because they need to hear it from different angles.
yeah,
you know uh, it's called a revival, and it has to start within us. I listen to different pieces. I read different pieces, because the Bible's there, but also I want to hear different perspectives and different angles on how to attack this enemy when he comes.
yeah,
You know, I was just praying last night. Lord, I've met a lot of people, but it ain't the people that you want me to have for me. I'm not looking for a perfect woman. Let's say that. I'm looking for a woman that's mature in the Lord, and where we can grow and be a benefit to the kingdom. That's what it's all about. I don't,
yeah,
he said, be fruitful and multiply, Adam and Eve, and that's bringing people in, showing them that actual goodness, showing them, what it looks like. I would, if, I met somebody, I would like to do a singles ministry together, to show why we're single, what it looks like being single, what are we doing to overcome temptation. The Bible tells us that there's nothing that there's none in the Son that He can't help us overcome, right? And
yeah,
so I think that's important in your dating sense, and especially if you go to the same church. Hey, if there's no singles ministry, hey, I think we should do singles ministries, so that keeps us accountable. Because if we're talking it, we're living it, baby.
yeah. So here's a question for you, and this question comes up sometimes when we're dealing with single people. Um, PDA, is
Oh,
PDA
public
acceptable?
display.
Yeah, public display of affection. Yeah,
Oh,
is
for
that
sure.
acceptable?
For sure,
Okay.
you want to know that the woman wants to know that you adore her. Now we still got to have affection now, but let's keep to an affection to where you can see what to look forward to. I
Okay. So
want,
what's that look like?
I mean, holding hands, doing walks in the park, picnics. You might have a little smooch here on the cheek every now and again, and because what kissing on the lips that causes a big problem. So you got to be careful with that. If you do kiss, folks, keep it to a 3 second minimum.
Minimum,
Minimal.
minimum or maximum?
Maximum. Yeah, maximum. Okay.
Okay.
I got it. Okay. Yeah, maximum.
I'm like three
Three
second
second.
minimum, dude.
3 second maximum. If you do
Okay.
longer than that, the tongue's gonna come out, the eyes are gonna go in the head, and you're gonna have problems.
Okay.
I'm telling you from profession, though. Don't do it. Or just don't do it. Kiss on the cheek. Kiss the most love affection that you give a woman is kiss her right here. That is the best turn on you can ever do for your woman. And it's
But
been, I would be
are you trying to
careful.
turn them on?
Now listen to what I'm saying now.
Okay, okay.
I would
I'm
be
listening.
careful in the friendship stage. Now in the beginning, not acceptable. Not
Okay.
acceptable. That's too early, too soon, too quick, gonna cause problems. If you move into the next level, you have a conversation. Hey, I like where we are. What's your thoughts on what we're doing? You focus and I'm focused, and how about this? Okay, now you move into that stage where we're determining if this man or woman is my next level of height growth with, right? Marriage. So now, if you know that you got each other's back and you know the Lord is first and foremost, and y'all praying together, y'all going to church together, y'all coming home, baby. What did Pastor Quill say? Does it line up with what we need to do? Is he lining up with the word? I think that's key important when you have to be that minister to that woman first, and you have to bring her home. Ephesians 5 tells us to wash that woman in the word, keep her daily praying over her, telling God how much you thankful for her as a blessing, not for the things she ain't doing, but who she is in Him. And so then at that point, you say, hey, I'll talk to the parent or whoever's living. I like to marry your daughter or your niece or whoever, because that's how what stage I'm in this relationship. It's just like when you come to Christ, there's a stage. Unbeliever, I'm trying, I want to know. There's a stage, you're a student, right? And so as we continue, because the woman has to see us active in God, if we want to lead them. If you want us, if you not so much want them to be submissive, but if you want them to see that you are a man of God, you got to act the way. You got to be the way. Don't let it with mouth service, but let your heart be intentional and let them see compassion. Let them see your fruitfulness. If you're busy in Christ, be busy in Christ. Maybe they're excited about it, but don't be so busy that you forget about them.
Yeah, yeah.
But you have to be that intentional leader.
Good insight. Good insight. Well, we appreciate your comments, and if you all have any comments, questions, concerns, feedback, feel free to write us at inthebox317. Again, that's inthebox317 at gmail.com. I'm Coach Q. That's Paul Bell. Till next time, y'all be blessed.